The slap echoed louder than the bells. Not because it hurt, because the king didn't stop it. I stood in the center of the royal court, silk torn at my shoulder, cheek burning, while Lady Varina, future High Regent, council favorite, predator in pearls, lowered her hand slowly and smiled at the watching nobles. "My queen seems fragile today," she said sweetly. Laughter rippled through the hall. Above us, black banners hung heavy. Torches burned blue. And on the throne, carved from obsidian and bone, my husband sat perfectly still. Vampire King Lucian Draven. He did not rise, he did not speak, he did not look at me. That silence hurt more than the slap. The court watched him, waiting. He gave them nothing, and that was worse. "My apologies, Your Majesty," Varina continued, dipping into a mock curtsy. "Perhaps pregnancy makes one emotional," gasps, whispers. I hadn't told the court, I hadn't even told him. My hand instinctively covered my stomach, barely a swell, barely a secret. Lucian's fingers tightened once on the armrest of his throne, just once. No one else noticed, I did, but he still did not defend me. The humiliation deepened. The council elder stepped forward, robes whispering. "If the queen is with child, the court must be informed. An heir alters succession. Alliances shift. Ritual claims activate." Ritual claims, that word chilled my spine. Lucian's jaw flexed slightly. His gaze remained forward, detached, controlled, and I felt something inside me fracture. He is letting them do this. He is letting me stand here alone. The elder turned toward me. "Is it true?" My throat burned. I wanted to look at Lucian. I wanted him to meet my eyes. He didn't. "Yes," I whispered. The court erupted. Not joy, calculation. Varina's smile widened. "How convenient." Lucian finally spoke. His voice was calm, even deadly quiet. "Enough." The single word flattened the noise instantly, but it was not defense, it was not protection, it was control, and that hurt more than the slap. The elder bowed slightly. "Then tradition requires public blessing. The unborn must be examined by the council flame." The flame, a ritual that tested blood purity. A ritual that could burn a child from the womb if the council deemed it politically inconvenient. I felt cold. Lucian's eyes finally shifted, not to me, to the elder. A long silence stretched. Then he said, "Tomorrow." Tomorrow, not over my dead body, tomorrow. The court relaxed. Varina stepped closer to me, lowering her voice so only I could hear. "You thought silence meant indifference," she whispered. "It means permission." That broke something inside me. Because for a second, I had believed that too. The session ended. Nobles dispersed in murmurs, plans forming, calculations spinning. Lucian rose, our eyes finally met. There was something there, not coldness, not cruelty, restraint. He walked past me without touching me, without speaking, publicly, and I felt utterly abandoned. That night I stood alone in our chamber, staring at the city below. The vampire capital pulsed with red lantern light. Behind me the door opened silently. Lucian entered, still composed, still unreadable. "You allowed it," I said before he could speak. My voice shook despite my effort. "You let them humiliate me." He didn't deny it. He closed the door, locked it. The wards flared. Only then did his control crack. His power surged like a storm held under skin. The candles flickered violently. Shadows stretched across the ceiling. "You think I enjoyed that?" he asked quietly. "You did nothing." His eyes snapped to mine, silver-edged with something darker. "Exactly." I stared at him. "You did nothing." He stepped closer, not touching, never touching when walls had ears. "In this court," he said softly, "whatever I protect publicly, they destroy." My breath caught. "If I had defended you," he continued, "the council would have demanded immediate ritual. Tonight, not tomorrow." I felt my stomach twist. "They suspected," he said. "An heir destabilizes their balance. If they confirmed it under my protection, they would invoke sacred override." Sacred override, he looked at me then, fully, and for the first time I saw fear. They would claim the child for purification. My knees weakened. "They would not ask me," he added. "They would bind me." I swallowed hard. "Then why didn't you tell me?" His jaw tightened. "Because knowledge leaks," he said. "Fear leaks faster." I shook my head. "You let me believe you didn't care." He stepped closer, too close, his voice dropped. "I let them believe you were insignificant." The word hit hard, insignificant. "That was your shield," he said. My heart ached. "And what about me?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he slowly, carefully placed his hand over mine, over my stomach. The contact was electric. His power stilled, completely. The storm vanished. The room calmed. He inhaled sharply like the child had just anchored something inside him. "You are not insignificant," he whispered. But something inside me had already changed. "You protected me without trusting me," I said. His hand tightened. Before he could respond, the palace alarm bells rang, not ceremonial, war signal. Lucian's eyes went black at the edges. "They moved faster than expected," he muttered. "Who?" "The council." He stepped away instantly, control snapping back into place like armor. "They know now," he said. "And what does that mean?" His voice turned lethal calm. "Means you are no longer safe inside these walls." I looked at him, and for the first time I understood something terrifying. His silence had been protection, but now that the secret was out, silence would no longer be enough. Outside, soldiers were already moving. Inside, something in me made a decision. My child would not grow inside a cage of politics, and if Lucian would not break the rules for us, then I would break them myself. That night before dawn, I disappeared. No goodbye, no note. No permission, just absence. And when the Vampire King woke to an empty chamber, the first crack appeared in his control. When the Vampire King woke and found the chamber empty, the palace did not shake, it froze. Lucian stood in the center of the room, staring at the untouched pillows, the folded silk on the chair, the window slightly open to the night air. No broken locks, no forced entry. She left. For 3 long seconds, nothing happened. Then the torches along the corridor outside extinguished all at once. Guards dropped to one knee without being told. Servants pressed against walls in silence. Because the air changed. Not wild, not explosive, focused, controlled rage. Lucian walked to the balcony slowly, fingers curling over the stone rail. The city below pulsed red under lantern light. He could feel her absence like a missing heartbeat in his chest. "She left before dawn," the captain said carefully from the doorway. Lucian did not turn. "Seal the gates." He ordered calmly. The captain swallowed. "If we close the city, the council will know." Lucian's voice dropped lower. "They already know." Behind his stillness, something ancient stirred. The power that had once leveled armies was pressing at the edges of his restraint, but he held it, because if he unleashed it now, the council would know exactly why, and that would confirm their suspicion. An heir. Across the palace, council elders gathered in quiet chambers, whispering. Verena stood among them, dressed in pale silver, composed and triumphant. "She ran," an elder murmured. "Interesting." Verena's lips curved slightly. "Fear makes creatures reveal themselves. And if she bears the heir," Verena tilted her head, "then she carries leverage." Meanwhile, miles beyond the city walls, I rode hard through forest paths under moonlight. I had taken nothing royal, no crest, no escort, no jewels, only a cloak, a horse, and my child. The night air cut sharp against my face, but my mind burned hotter than fear. He protected me without trusting me. That truth repeated in my skull like a drumbeat. Maybe his silence had shielded me, but it had also silenced me, and my child would not grow up as a hidden piece on someone else's board. Behind me, wolves howled, not normal wolves, shadow wolves. The council was already hunting. My hand pressed instinctively to my stomach. The baby kicked, not soft, sharp. A pulse of energy moved through me like a warning bell. The horse reared suddenly before I even heard the arrow slice through the trees. It missed by inches. I slid off the saddle, heart pounding. 3 cloaked figures emerged from the dark, council hunters. "You should have stayed small," one of them called. I backed away slowly. "I am small." Not anymore. The air around me vibrated suddenly. My mark, faint since leaving the palace, flared hot. The nearest hunter lunged. Before I could react, the ground under his feet split open in a jagged crack. He stumbled back, swearing. The second hunter aimed a silver-tipped spear at my stomach. The baby moved again, and the spear shaft snapped midair. The hunters froze. "What is that?" one whispered. I didn't answer because I didn't know, but I understood one thing. The child wasn't passive, it was aware, and it didn't want to be taken. The hunters retreated slowly, fear replacing confidence. I didn't wait. I ran deep into the forest. Back in the palace, Lucian stood before the council chamber doors. He had not slept. He had not eaten. His power felt wrong without her, unbalanced, not chaotic, unstable. Verena greeted him with a soft smile. "Your queen seems overwhelmed." Lucian's eyes fixed on her. "You pushed her." She humiliated herself, Varana replied smoothly. Pregnant and dramatic. The chandeliers above the chamber flickered. Lucian stepped closer, voice dangerously quiet. You will not speak of her that way. Varana arched a brow. You allowed it yesterday. Silence stretched. Lucian leaned in slightly. Yesterday was strategy. And today, his gaze sharpened. Today is different. An elder cleared his throat nervously. If the queen carries an heir, she must be secured. Lucian's hand curled into a fist. She is not property. Varana laughed softly. Everything in this court is property. Lucian's power flared, just a flicker enough to make every elder step back. Careful, Varana warned. If you show weakness now, the throne questions you. His jaw tightened. She is not weakness. Varana's voice lowered, venomous and personal. She left you. That hit, for a split second, control slipped. The chamber walls cracked with a sharp sound. Then Lucian forced it back down. She left because she thought I betrayed her, he said evenly. And that is my failure. The elders exchanged glances. This was dangerous ground. An elder spoke carefully. If the heir exists, ritual law demands inspection. Lucian's gaze went ice cold. The heir exists, he said calmly. Shock rippled through the chamber. Varana's smile vanished. You admit it publicly. Lucian straightened. Yes. You just handed the council leverage, she hissed. No, he corrected quietly. I just warned you. In the forest, I collapsed against a tree trunk, breathing hard. My hands shook from adrenaline. The baby moved again, slower now, not panic, comfort. I felt something shift inside me, not fear, resolve. I couldn't outrun the council forever, but I didn't have to run. I could learn, I could become harder to remove. Days passed. I stayed hidden near an abandoned mountain monastery. I trained my body, strengthened my mind. And every time danger crept close, the child reacted before I sensed it. Once, I woke seconds before a hunter stepped into the clearing. Another time, my path changed instinctively before a trap was sprung. The child was not fragile. It was ancient. Back in the capital, whispers grew louder. The king cannot control his emotions. The queen destabilizes him. The heir must be contained. Varana began gathering allies openly now. If the king breaks tradition, she told them, we replace him. One elder hesitated. He is too powerful. Varana's eyes glinted. Not without her. She didn't understand the full truth. Lucian wasn't weaker without me. He was more dangerous. 1 week later, council hunters surrounded the monastery at dawn. This time they came with full ritual chains. Silver carved with ancient runes. I stood in the courtyard as they closed in. My heart pounded, but I did not run. The baby pulsed once hard. The ground under the lead hunter cracked again, but there were too many. Chains flew toward me. And before they reached, the sky darkened unnaturally. Shadows poured over the mountain like a tidal wave. The hunters froze. Lucian stepped through the darkness like he owned it, not frantic, not raging, decisive. His gaze locked on me first, not the hunters, me. Relief flickered across his face just for a breath. Then control returned. You should not have run, he said quietly. I lifted my chin. You should not have stayed silent. The tension between us burned hotter than the magic in the air. The hunters tried to move. Lucian didn't look at them. They collapsed anyway. Silence fell over the mountain courtyard. He stepped closer slowly. You think I abandoned you, he said. You let them shame me. His jaw flexed. I let them underestimate you. That is not the same. He stopped inches away, close enough to feel his power hum under my skin. You left without trusting me, he said. You protected me without trusting me, I fired back. The words hung heavy between us. His hand hovered near my stomach, not touching, asking permission without speaking. I hesitated, then nodded. His palm settled gently over the swell. The world stilled. His power aligned instantly, balanced, calm. The hunters groaned weakly under shadow pressure. Lucian's voice dropped to something raw and unguarded. I never meant to rule alone. Footsteps echoed behind him. Varana stepped into the clearing with a small army of council loyalists. Well, she said smoothly, this simplifies things. Her eyes went straight to my stomach, and her smile returned. Varana's smile was calm, too calm. Behind her stood 12 council enforcers in ceremonial armor, blades drawn, silver glinting under gray mountain light. They did not look at Lucian. They looked at me, at my stomach. This is no longer a private disagreement, Varana said smoothly. You admitted the heir exists. By law, it belongs to the council. Lucian stepped slightly in front of me, not fully blocking, not claiming, shielding without possession. It belongs to no one, he replied quietly. Varana tilted her head. You forget the ancient oath. Any royal heir must be examined, if unstable, removed. Removed. The word sliced sharper than any blade. My hand instinctively covered my stomach. The baby pulsed once strong. A warning. Lucian felt it too. His shoulders tightened. The air grew heavy. You will not touch her, he said, calm, but the ground trembled faintly beneath his boots. Varana's voice lost its softness. You broke protocol already. You defied public tradition. You chose a human. She is my queen, Lucian answered, and yet you let her be humiliated. Silence hit like a crack of thunder. Lucian did not deny it this time. Instead, he said quietly, because protection is invisible, power is not. Varana laughed sharply. And now she runs because of it. I ran, I cut in, stepping beside him instead of behind, because silence feels like betrayal. Every enforcer shifted slightly. They were not used to a queen speaking during confrontation. Varana's gaze snapped to me. You misunderstand your position. I met her stare. No, you misunderstand yours. That struck harder than expected. Murmurs rippled among the guards. Varana's mask slipped for half a second. Rage. She lifted her hand. Seize her. The enforcers moved. Lucian's power exploded outward, not wild but vast. Shadows rose like walls, slamming into the advancing soldiers. Silver blades shattered mid-swing. Armor cracked, but Varana was ready. She slammed a staff into the ground, runes blazing bright. A shockwave ripped through the courtyard. Lucian staggered. The staff wasn't attacking him directly. It was attacking the bond. Pain shot through my chest as the mark flared white-hot. I dropped to one knee, gasping. Lucian turned instantly, panic flashing through his control. Stop! Varana's eyes glittered. See, she destabilizes you. Another pulse from the staff. My vision blurred. The baby's presence flickered uncertainly for a terrifying second. Lucian roared, not anger, fear. The shadows burst violently outward. Trees cracked. Stones split. Enforcers were thrown back like ragdolls, but Varana stood firm inside the rune circle. You cannot save her without destroying yourself, she taunted. Lucian's hands trembled, not from weakness, from restraint. If he unleashed fully, the mountain would collapse. I forced myself upright, even as pain burned under my skin. I stepped toward him through the tremor in the air. Lucian, I said softly. His eyes snapped to me, wild at the edges. Look at me. Another pulse from Varana's staff. The rune circle brightened. Lucian's power cracked outward in jagged bursts. Stop, he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. I moved closer, closer. The air between us felt electric. Don't fight the world, I said quietly. Stand with me instead. His breathing slowed, not because he breathes like a human, but because his energy did. He focused on me, not the staff, not the council, me. The shadows steadied. The rune light flickered uncertainly. Varana's confidence faltered. Impossible, she hissed. Lucian stepped forward slowly, still watching me. Release her, he said calmly. Varana slammed the staff again. Nothing happened. The mark on my skin glowed gold instead of red, not burning, not unstable, controlled. Lucian's power wrapped around mine seamlessly, not consuming, not overwhelming, aligning. Varana staggered back as the rune circle cracked under pressure. You think this makes you equal, she spat. Lucian finally looked at her. His expression was no longer restrained. It was final. I think this makes her necessary. Varana's voice shook now. You would defy the entire council for her. Lucian stepped beside me, not in front. Yes. The word hit like a blade strike. Varana raised the staff for one last attempt. Lucian moved faster than sight. The staff snapped in half in his hand. The runes shattered into harmless sparks. The enforcers did not rise again. Silence fell over the mountain courtyard. Varana stared at him, breath uneven. You just broke ancient law. Lucian didn't blink. Then write a new one. The way he said it carried centuries of authority. Varana realized something then, something colder than defeat. The throne was no longer just his, it was shared. She took a step back. This isn't over. Lucian's gaze was sharp. No, it's not. Varana retreated with the remaining loyalists, fury simmering in every step. The mountain grew quiet again, wind brushing broken stone. Lucian turned to me slowly. The fight gone, the mask gone. You should hate me, he said quietly. I do, I answered honestly. His jaw flexed. He didn't look surprised. But I also understand now, I added. He waited. You protected me without trusting me, I said. That ends today. The words landed between us like a treaty. Lucian stepped closer, careful, as if I might vanish again. I cannot rule if you stand outside it, he said. Then don't rule alone, I replied. The baby shifted gently beneath my palm. Calm. Lucian placed his hand over mine. The power between us steadied, not explosive, unified. No more silence, I said firmly. No more distance, he agreed. Days later, we returned to the capital together, not as secret and shield, not as king and protected human, but side by side. The court gathered in the grand hall, tension thick in the air. Varana stood among them, fury hidden under grace. Lucian ascended the throne steps. I stood beside him. Whispers filled the chamber. She defied tradition. She ran. She weakened him. Lucian raised his hand. Silence fell instantly. The queen did not weaken me, he said clearly. She forced me to stand honestly. Eyes shifted to me. I did not lower my gaze. Lucian continued, voice steady and echoing through stone. She is not weakness. He turned slightly toward me. She is my crown. The words hit like thunder. Gasps rippled through the court. Varana's fingers curled tightly at her sides. Lucian's hand remained linked with mine as he addressed the hall. The heir will not be hidden. The heir will not be examined. The heir will not be owned. An elder tried to interrupt. Lucian's gaze silenced him instantly. This throne does not fear blood, he continued. It is built on it. He looked at me again, not possessive, not dominating, choosing. And I do not protect what I do not respect. Slowly, one noble knelt, then another. Then the hall followed, not because of tradition, because power had shifted. Varana did not kneel at first. Lucian met her eyes calmly. After a long moment, she lowered herself too, but her whisper barely carried through the air. This isn't over. Lucian heard it. So did I, and for the first time, we did not face that threat separately. We faced it together. Later, in the quiet of our chamber, I stood near the balcony where I once felt abandoned. Lucian approached slowly. I cannot undo the silence, he said. No, I agreed, but you can end it. He stepped close enough that I could feel his power settle instead of strain. You are not something I hide, he said quietly. You are something I stand with. The baby pulsed gently. I took his hand fully. Then stand, I said, and he did, not above me, beside me. If you enjoyed this story and want more dark fantasy with power shifts, tension, and fierce queens, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter. And tell me in the comments, if you were the king, would you forgive her?